So this is Eagle, Idaho. It is one of the most popular suburbs in all of the Treasure Valley and has quickly become the most popular place to live in all of Idaho. It's about 20-minute drive to get into downtown Boise, and Eagle sits just north of Meridian, and Star is going to be west of where Eagle is. And you have the Boise River flowing through Eagle about right there, give or take, and you have the foothills right up here. This is where one of the most popular communities is Dry Creek Ranch, and you have Hidden Springs tucked right there as well. So as you can see, Eagle is located in an incredibly convenient location. The Treasure Valley has seen a massive boom recently due to tech, healthcare, manufacturing, finance, and just all of these things pouring into the area. And a lot of people have been moving to Eagle and the Treasure Valley because they're getting job offers in the area. Oftentimes, they don't have any friends here, no family, and no clue what neighborhood to choose in Eagle, which can be hard and intimidating. Even if you're just moving from Boise into Eagle, that is still a good sized move and can be hard and intimidating in its own. So in today's episode, we're going to cover the basic things you need to know about Eagle, Idaho. Hi, my name is Matthew, and I'm a realtor here in Eagle, Idaho, and my goal with this YouTube channel is to give you all the information you need so you can decide if Eagle is the right place for you and your family. Now, I personally think Eagle is an incredible place to live, but what I look for in a neighborhood and a community might be completely different from what you're looking for. So in today's video, I'm going to break down everything you need to know about Eagle, Idaho, especially if you know nothing about the area, so then you can decide if it is truly the right move for you and your family, and if to see if you should accept the job offer or maybe you shouldn't. So let's start by talking about why so many are applying to jobs in Eagle and just the area itself. More often than not, the top reasons that I hear and what I like about Eagle is that it is safe, clean, and beautiful, and it has that small town feel. It has easy access to camping, shopping, and everything you would possibly want for the most part. You can go into downtown Boise for the plays, concerts, the zoo, or head up to the mountains in McCall for boating and skiing. Eagle also has good schools, a good city council that knows what they're doing for the most part, and Eagle is a great place to live if you like the outdoors while also being close to those bigger city amenities. So what else makes Eagle so popular versus other cities? A lot of people I talked to at one point or another looked into moving to Denver, Seattle, Texas, Vegas, and even North Idaho. But they all eventually settle in Eagle for similar reasons. The first is people moving to Eagle feel like they're surrounded by like-minded people. The people are friendly, they say hi to other people, and people living in Eagle tend to have very similar beliefs and want the same kind of lifestyle. There was a coffee shop that opened that had a prayer night that was packed. A ton of people showed up for it, and it was a brand new coffee shop, so it was great to see, but a lot of locals came out and supported it. There's even a doctor's office that have scripture on the walls, and while some people like this, other people very much do not. The second reason is Eagle is a pretty easy drive back to California or to Denver or Utah compared to Texas and Seattle. So the proximity to those bigger metros areas is a plus. I know I've talked to a lot of people who have moved up here from California, and they really enjoy that it is more or less a day trip back, or a very easy 2-day trip back to where they're from. And the third reason is Eagle is a suburb that values safety, schools, and this luxury resort style living, which makes it appealing to a lot of people. So you really aren't going to find a lot of communities like the ones that you find in Eagle, especially for those who want to live around or on the West Coast. So what is the weather like here in Eagle, Idaho? I have heard some crazy things about our weather. From Eagle doesn't get winter to it's just as hot as Arizona and all the things like that. Well, first off, neither one of those are true. Eagle does get 4 very distinct seasons, which I love about living here, but the winter is relatively mild in comparison to the East Coast, North Idaho, and some places like that. On average, we get about 10 to 30 inches of snow, and it does melt off pretty fast when it snows, but you will still need to own a snow shovel just in case it does pile up. And well, this winter we haven't had any snow, and I don't think we've had a shovel at all. Maybe once in December, but that's probably it. So in terms of winters, they're relatively easygoing here. The summers here though are hot, a lot hotter than people think. In 2025, there was a 7-day stretch in a row where we hit 100 degrees or higher, and we topped out about that 104 range. The good news though is we are a desert climate, so it's not humid heat, which I very much prefer. And at nights typically we do cool down to the mid 60s to low 70s, and mornings will be cooler too. So if you're trying to escape to get outside, you just go out earlier in the day. The hottest point of the day here is around like 4 to 5 p.m., which definitely throws people off. The other good thing to know is that the sunset in the summer is around 9 to 9:30, depending on the month, which is a lot later than most people realize. I do like this until you're trying to put your kids down for bed and they're saying, well, Dad, the sun's still out, so like we can go outside and play. And you're like, well, it's 9:45 when you try to get to sleep. It is kind of a hard challenge because usually they're used to going to bed when the sun goes down. Well, in the summer, it gets quite late. So in the winter, the sun also sets around 5 p.m., so quite a big difference. So some people who do move here get the winter blues just in the winter with how early the sun goes down. And fall and spring are amazing here. The weather finds that sweet spot and everyone is just outside playing. So now let's pull up the map again and take a quick look at where Eagle actually is and a basic layout of the area. So now that we have the map pulled up, let's take a dive into kind of what the layout of Eagle is like. So the first line I like to draw is across this 44, kind of running west like that. Okay, so we kind of break it up into the north section up here and the south section down here. Now both of these have very different feels. The next line I like to draw is almost kind of like at the Eagle High School line, so we'll kind of draw it coming down there like that and make this quadrant over here. So this first quadrant is where a lot of your master plan communities are coming into. You'll find Terra View right here. You'll find Legacy kind of tucked all over in there. And you have Valnova coming up here. So very far north. A lot of master plan bigger communities have to come a little outside of Eagle, further away from downtown Eagle, which will be roughly, we'll call it right there, downtown Eagle, just because that's where the farmland is and that's where they have more room to build these communities. So if you're looking for a lot of master plan communities, they're probably going to be back in this quadrant for now. And one thing I do want to point out about this quadrant is there's not a lot of commercial. It's just a lot of homes. So some people love Terra View, but they wish they were closer to the restaurants, the Trader Joe's, and those things. I will say Highway 16, which runs north to south right here, is getting a major facelift. They're going to make it a lot more convenient to try to deal with all the traffic coming in. The other unique thing that is true about when you live back in this quadrant is the Star grocery stores are actually closer than the Eagle grocery stores. So Eagle's Safeway is probably going to be, give or take, in that little bubble right there, just eyeballing it. So you're actually going to be closer to going to the Star grocery stores and some of the Star restaurants than you were be to the Eagle restaurants. Some people love this. Some people would rather live closer and actually more in Eagle. But just know that this quadrant is where a lot of your new construction's coming. The next quadrant I kind of like to break off is down here. So we'll just kind of go down this way and over. Now I could break this one up into two, but this right here, these area, has a very, very similar feel. So this is the 55 that runs right here. So as you can see, your Target's going to be here. Your Costco's found down on here. And when you live in this little bubble, you're close to everything. Like I said, this is downtown right here. We'll do DT for downtown. And you're just close to everything. You're tucked into the trees, the Boise River's flowing right through here like that. So you're on the Boise River. You have miles of walking trails. There are some pretty cool communities that are coming. There's one over here that I'll touch on, give her probably a little more into this area. But there's a really cool community coming in this section that will have new construction homes if that's what you like. But there's also amazing existing construction in there as well. They're not necessarily master planned new communities, but you'll find Two Rivers, Mace River, Williams River Ranch, all in this little section. And Banbury Golf Course, which is my favorite golf course that is public, is right there. So it's just becoming really, really popular to live kind of in that little half bubble. And this circle kind of extends up like this, even probably over to the high school and down. So this weird bubble right here is becoming very, very, very popular to live in solely because you're close to everything. Your still can be tucked in the trees, you're close to downtown, you're close to the Target, Trader Joe's. You feel like you're in true Eagle, which is really nice. Like I said, we'll kind of extend this other section here and down on the 55. So this bubble, we'll call this number 3, this little section is also kind of the next one. A lot of existing homes are in there, some really cool communities, not as big as communities as we'll call Terraview, Legacy, or even what Dry Creek Ranch will be, which we'll touch on, and that's over there. But it is becoming a very popular quadrant to live in just because you feel like you're close to everything. And I really probably should have done quadrant 3 a little smaller, to be honest. I should have drawn it down more on there and then cut it down like that. So that's quadrant number 3 like that. This one extends more because Terraview will come all the way back there. And then the next piece that you kind of want to know about is Dry Creek Ranch, and that's back here. Dry Creek Ranch is an incredibly popular community. It is a little further out, so like your Lifetime Fitness and those things will be, here's your Home Depot, kind of in here. So a lot of your restaurants are on the 55, your gyms are going to be over here, there's your hotels. This kind of bubble around downtown is where a lot of your commercial and restaurants are. Like I said, Terraview and this quadrant is really missing a lot of commercial. Hopefully it will come in soon, but it's not there yet. Dry Creek Ranch, it's pretty convenient to drive down here and you're instantly into like the downtown, you're close to restaurants and those things. If you also pop this way, you can head into downtown Boise. So it is closer to downtown Boise compared to this quadrant. I hope this kind of gave you an idea of how Eagle's laid out. Some of the pros of living in here, some of the pros of living over here, and where Dry Creek Ranch is, just so when I talk about these things or you visit, you kind of have an idea on a map where how things are laid out. So one thing that is unique to Eagle is the resort style communities. A lot of these communities in Eagle have the clubhouses, the pools, walking trails, pickleball courts. The developers and builders of these communities are just packing them full of resort style options and things to do. There's also a lot of homes on they call lakes, but they're more ponds. Some people absolutely love these waterfront homes because they are absolutely gorgeous, and others would rather just have the bigger backyard. But some of the communities that I would tour, if I didn't know about very many of them, or if I was moving to the area and didn't know anything about the community, are Stag's Crossing is very popular, Eagledale, Riverfront Estates, Carrara Estates, Dry Creek Ranch, Two Rivers, Mace River Ranch, and Williams River Ranch that are all tucked in on that 55, Valnova, and the estates at Spurwing, the ranch, and there are some really cool ones that will never hit the MLS, like Wilderness Estates. So that one is a new construction community that will be set on the river, and it looks like an amazing opportunity if you want to live on about 0.33 acres in a very convenient spot. But the really cool thing about Eagle is if you're looking to live on an acre or two in the trees and the foothills on the Boise River where you can walk out your door to miles of trails, on the water, on the golf course, it's all possible in Eagle, which is really cool. I've actually helped a few clients move into Eagle, and they were surprised with how many communities and neighborhoods they actually fell in love with. So we toured quite a bit of them. I always suggest driving around, make a list of all the communities you like, go drive through them, and then kind of come up with your top 3. Because most people, wife likes one, husband likes another, they both like this one. Well, let's see what kind of homes we can get. There are a lot of different options just within Eagle. So now I want to kind of get into some myths about Eagle. So the first myth is that Eagle is quiet, rural town with no traffic. I would say Eagle is a small town. It's not a rural town anymore. And while we don't really have much traffic when you stay in Eagle itself, Highway 55 and Highway 44 and even Highway 16 can get pretty bad. The backroads at Eagle can also just get congested. As more and more homes are coming in, especially in that back left quadrant where Terraview is, the traffic can get pretty backed up back there and by the schools. Like I said, a lot of these roads that were in Eagle are just 2-lane farm roads that are now having to deal with 30,000 plus people. So no, in my opinion, Eagle is not a quiet rural town anymore. It just has that nice smaller town feel. The next one is Eagle is just a suburb for commuters. Well, I have heard this one a lot recently, and I just don't agree with it. Eagle is very much its own town. It's even getting its own Costco here hopefully soon too. And it has its own downtown, which just got a massive facelift, if not just rebuilt. And there are great restaurants as well. I know people who don't leave Eagle. They either have remote jobs or retired, and they hardly leave town unless to go into downtown to go to like the zoo and plays and those kind of things. but Eagle also has its own youth sports programs, its own school district, so no, Eagle is not a commuter town, it is very much its own place. And speaking of schools, another myth I heard is that public schools have no problems at all and they're fabulous because it's, well, Idaho. I'm not sure where this is coming from, and while the schools do rank really well, they still are experiencing problems and in themselves. So just know that no, if you move here, it's not some fairy tale. We still have problems here as well. And the next myth I hear, and some of it is opinion based, is it's ugly and it's just full of potatoes with nothing to do. So Eagle, to me at least, is very beautiful. You have the foothills, you have the Boise River, you have walking trails along the river tucked in the trees. You even have some parks on the river in the trees that my kids love just to go and run around and play at, and I find it very beautiful. There's some amazing homes too tucked on the ponds and the trees that are just stunning. And it's just full of potatoes. Well, maybe at one point we were just full of potatoes, but now there's a lot of these master plan communities coming in. There's commercial that's coming in as well. There's things like Topgolf, the zoo, and while those aren't necessary in Eagle, they're in the Treasure Valley, which is now a 15-minute drive away, so there is a lot more to do here as well. So to me, I find this place beautiful and there's absolute ton to do for me. And the next one is the growth isn't that bad. The Treasure Valley really can't be growing that fast. Well, the growth here has been unreal. In the past, we didn't need a reservation for any restaurant. You could just walk right in. Now you definitely do need a reservation. Even the gym, Lifetime Fitness, is on a wait list or taking reservations as they are getting ready to open, but they're anticipating enough people signing up that they can't onboard everyone at once. Boise State football season tickets are also on a wait list, things that you never used to have to deal with. You used to be able to say, you know what, I think I want Boise season tickets, and you could just click buy now and you would have your season tickets. Now we're on a wait list. And you used to be able to go camping on a Friday night and find a great spot and fly fish more or less by yourself, have the river to yourself. Now you need to go leave on a Wednesday to find a spot or leave early Friday to make sure you can get a spot. There's just a lot more people out there doing these outdoor activities, which is great, but it's not like it used to be. The growth here has really been insane. I do want to say though, if you're moving from a city, you really won't find this out of the normal. It's probably less busy than what you're used to. It's just for people who've lived here a long time, it is changing and that we have seen so much growth. It's just different. It's not necessarily bad different, it's just not the normal that we're used to. So if you want to learn more about why I am never leaving Eagle, Idaho, you can watch that video here. Thank you for watching, I hope to chat with you soon.